Ladies and gentlemen, it's jamieopulence, and my God, have I got something very, very special for you today. Jaeger-Lecoultre Atmos Clock, Phase the Lune. This clock I purchased in Zurich. I'll tell you the backstory for it. I actually wanted to order it and have it delivered to me, but the person said, look, it's very sensitive to be able to send via post. He almost didn't want to do the deal, and I said, no, I really want this clock. I will come to you. So I flew to Zurich to collect it. It's a wedding anniversary gift to my wife. Let's get into it. But before we get into it, if you could like and subscribe to the channel, that would be great, because that helps me, with the rankings and to ultimately bring more content to you. Without further ado, let's go. All right, so let's open it from the box. I must say the packaging itself is tremendous. Obviously, by nature, this is a very sensitive piece, which must be handled with great care. So the packaging for travel is, it's second to none. Let's just get this out of the way. Let's move all this. Okay. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we have it. So I'm going to take you to some close-up shots, but as you can imagine this particular clock has prominence within your study or within your living room. In the case of myself, we have it in the Vitrine, and it's always an item which draws attention when family and friends visit. And the actual sort of mechanics of it is second to none. So they often talk about perpetual time. Well, listen, with this, it powers itself from a change in temperature. So there's a very thin strip of wire which I'll bring you close up to in a bit. The very thin strip of wire, it draws energy from 1 Celsius of change in temperature. So obviously throughout the day, the temperature in your living room or in the place where the clock is located will vary. So, it might be 20 degrees and then it will go to 21, 22. Every 1 Celsius of temperature change brings enough energy to power the clock for 48 hours. So there's no requirement to have batteries. It literally runs from atmospheric changes in the temperature, which obviously draws the name for the Atmos clock. But let's get some close-ups. Let's actually look at the the intricacies of it, and we'll actually start it up in a few moments. I mean, just look at it. It's absolutely spectacular. And wait till you get it started and you see the rotor at the bottom spinning. It's just beautiful. What do you reckon, guys? Do you think it's time to start her up? Let's get this bad boy running. Okay, so the actual process to start her, what we're going to do is we're going to take the front panel off. Very delicate. We're going to remove that. We'll place that here. So the time here in Europe is 1:35. So before we actually turn her on, we're going to just adjust the time. So we're going to do it very gently. You're going to go round 1:35. Okay, to start her, there's a lever which we need to pull. Okay, and what's going to happen is the bottom rotor is going to spin to the left, and then spin to the right, and it will go back and forth, back and forth. So we're going to place the glass back on and admire her in all her glory. And of course, over time, the bottom rotor will steady itself. And I've got to tell you, if anyone is considering buying an Atmos clock, there's a few things to consider. For me, I wouldn't buy one which is second-hand. The reason being, they're very sensitive. So often what happens is the cleaner, for example, she's cleaning, dusting away, she'll pick the clock up, move it, dust underneath, and there you go, you've ruined the clock. Because the very thin strip which draws the energy, it just gets destroyed. That's why it's very important, if you want to move the clock, you have to move the lever into the locking position. So as the rotor comes all the way to the right and then stops, that's when you go for the lock. You lock it quickly. Now it's spinning back to the left, which means you've missed the chance to lock it. As you can see, that very thin piece of wire, that's what's drawing the power for the clock. So with 1 Celsius degree change in temperature, the clock is powering for 48 hours. And imagine the temperature within your home throughout the day, throughout the night. It's going up, it's going down. And that's why they say an Atmos clock will quite simply go forever. When looking at the inner workings of the clock, it just gives you the feeling of pride and a feeling of appreciation to see the mechanics of what is a piece of art. This clock is special, very special. And if you're into horology, wristwatches, and the general, this surely should have a place in your heart. At least, I'm sure you can agree, the Atmos clock is worthy of appreciation. And finally, this is the back of the clock. The Jaeger-Lecoultre Atmos Clock in rose gold with the classic moon function. The time, months and moon phases pass slowly by on its timelessly elegant dial. The Atmos Classique Phase de Lune clock in its pink gold plated cabinet is a beautiful object which lends a touch of soul to any room. Its minimalist lip movement, its whole secret, no doubt lies within the movement. Suspended from a metal alloy wire finer than a hair's breadth, the balanced ring slowly and majestically reducing the energy wasted due to friction to as strict a minimum. To emphasize this minimalism even further, the wheel train needs no oiling to operate. This is a clock that is economical but generous. Despite the little energy at its disposal, it is able to offer an indication of the months and moon phases, and to do so with great reliability. It will lose only 1 day every 3,821 years, which means there really is no need to worry for quite some time. If the clock is intended to celebrate a special event, JLC will offer you the opportunity to personalize it. They have silk screen printing which can be applied to the glass cabinet. You can add lettering or a gilded bronze plate which can be added to the base. The history of the Atmos clock came about in 1928. This non-commercial prototype, which predated the Atmos name but is now known officially or unofficially as Atmos Zero, was driven by a mercury in-glass expansion device. The mechanism operated on temperature changes alone. Atmos is the brand name of a mechanical torsion pendulum clock manufactured by JLC in Switzerland, which does not need to be wound manually. It gets the energy it needs to run from temperature and atmospheric pressure changes in the environment, and it can run for years without human intervention. The clock is driven by a mainspring which is wound by the expansion and contraction of liquid and gaseous ethyl chloride in an internal hermetically sealed metal bellows. The ethyl chloride vaporizes into an expansion chamber as the temperature rises, compressing a spiral spring with a fall in temperature. The gas condenses and the spiral spring expands, winding the mainspring. This motion constantly winds the mainspring. So to give you a better idea, a temperature variation of only 1 degree or a pressure variation of 3 millimeters was calculated to provide enough energy for 2 days. So of course, as the clock takes pride of place in your home, throughout the day the temperature goes up, it goes down during the night, and subsequently every 1 Celsius degree in change of temperature gives enough power to power the clock for 48 hours. And of course, to run the clock on this amount of small energy, everything in the Atmos must be as friction-free as possible. For timekeeping, it uses the torsion pendulum, which consumes less energy than an ordinary pendulum. In conclusion, this is really an additional element for all of you horology enthusiasts. It's an opportunity to add an element of splendor to your home, perfect for a very special occasion such as a retirement gift or indeed a wedding anniversary celebration. You will not go wrong when buying this stunning piece, brand new, directly from Jaeger-Lecoultre. I have had many years of joy and satisfaction from observing this clock while sitting at the dining table. It is truly a beautiful piece for you to consider acquiring. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sure you will agree with me. It's a spectacular piece, and I'm sure it would go very well in your home. Perhaps a gift to your wife on a special occasion. If you could like and subscribe, that would be great. Thank you very much.